you're new or you haven't been on very many of these calls. By now you might know that we're a nutraceutical company and that we're noted for making some profoundly effective products for people and their pets. There's a really good reason for that. It's because of some technology scientist, Dr. Bevan Elliott, who's been my partner since 2015, developed. I think he's pioneering a new way to make all of us healthier. Here's how he wants to do that. He wants to increase the amount of energy that your cells produce. Why does he want to do that? Well, doesn't everything take energy? You know, why would we be any exception? Like if I go in your house right now, start turning down the current, when your lights start to dim, when your appliances start to malfunction, if I kept it up, they stop working altogether, right? But that's kind of how we are when we go through life. You start out you might not have now, okay? And the reason you might not have it now is because as you go through life, because of, you know, not just aging, but diseases you might have encountered, you know. You had COVID, then you lost a lot of mitochondria, probably didn't get them all back, right? How about high blood pressure, diabetes? All those kinds of things can exhaust and kill mitochondria. Things you get into in the environment, stuff you might put on your lawn like I do, could turn out to be a serial killer of mitochondria. Right? How can that be? The short answer is not. Okay. And so Dr. Elliott, observing that, set out to try to reverse that trend. He wanted to grow back your mitochondria so you could get back that function that you had when you were younger. To do that, he had to identify things in nature that also would signal your mitochondria to grow. He did that, but that wasn't enough because they're not strong enough. Then he had to create this new technology called XDS, stands for Exponential Delivery System, to make them more powerful, to not just get these things in your bloodstream, but all the way into your mitochondria, where some real magic can happen, like what we're going to talk about tonight. Okay. Now that technology is in our product line. That product line is called XDS. It's called Ultra Mito, as an ultra mitochondria. That is what Dale's going to come back and talk to you about. Dale.
Thank you, Roger. Listen, everybody, the first product I want to mention is called Rejuvenate. It's our topical cream. It's for your skin from head to toe. Put it in your scalp. Put it in your hair. It's for anything that disturbs your skin. That's a scratch, a scrape, a cut, a bump, a mole, a blemish, anything that disturbs your skin. We've actually got testimonials in the back office of the impact it's had for serious varicose veins, for stretch marks, for cellulite, even the lines on your face, and it does all the things it does because of the way it works. It doesn't just sit on your skin. It soaks through your skin, soaks down to the bone. It helps with your ligaments and your tendons, with your muscles, and with your joints, your knee joints, your back joints, your hands. And listen, if you or anybody you know has a condition in your hands or feet that could start as tingling and become incredibly severe, you're going to find Rejuvenate becomes your go-to product for everything I just mentioned and more. Go to the back office, listen to the testimonials. They're astounding and wide-ranging. Next, we're going to talk about Restore 3.0. It's our first third-generation product, and Dr. Bevan has truly created something incredible using a base of two ancient superfoods, olive oil with olive leaf and black seed. They've both been used for thousands of years because of the benefits they provide to the human condition. They mention olive oil in the Bible. They found black seed when they opened King Tut's tomb, but Dr. Bevan has taken several elements and uses them in a special way. As an example, with olive oil and olive leaf, he uses them, several elements of them, to tune up and detoxify your cells while increasing your mitochondria. Now, that is the important difference, the unique difference. That's our name, more mito, short for mitochondria. Dr. Bevan has discovered that you've been losing mitochondria your entire life. You're lucky to have 50% of what you were born with when you're in your 50s and 60s, maybe as low as 10% in your 70s. And Dr. Bevan realized that when you can increase the mitochondria back to the age when you were young, then your body starts to work the way it's supposed to, the way it used to, the way it did before life and the environment started tearing your body down. And he uses black seed to increase your energy, but it's cellular energy. It's steady. It's strong. There's no jitters. It's not like a hit of caffeine or sugar that gives you a shot of energy followed by a deep valley crash. Cellular energy is steady. Imagine being able to do a task and complete it without a need to sit on the couch and rest. Imagine the disappearance of your brain fog. Something strenuous, like a long bike ride that has a short recovery time. Cellular energy means you engage life again on your terms, at its fullest, without a need to sit on the couch and watch it all pass you by. And I've only mentioned 2 of the 44 ingredients Dr. Bevan has been able to blend to create Restore. The blending is critical. Dr. Bevan will tell you that if you take a handful of vitamins, you're lucky if a third aren't a complete waste, overpowered and canceled out by other things in that handful of vitamins. Everything has to be in the right proportion, blended properly, and then the most critical aspect is the XDS that lets your body use it like nothing it's ever used before. Look, this is not a case of putting a bunch of ingredients in a pot and stirring it up and putting it in a bottle. It takes 8 weeks to make a bottle of Restore. It is a process, and the results speak for themselves. Next, I want to talk about our newest product. It's called Renew. Dr. Bevan has some of the ingredients that we need to increase our mitochondria. They have to be delivered in a dry format. They can't be delivered from a liquid base. So he's created these small capsules with these dry ingredients to complete the triad, if you will, of the items we need to increase our mitochondria. Renew, brain and body, stands on the shoulders of Rejuvenate and Restore, and completes what we need to have these incredible changes happen. Finally, some of the most important members of our family are the pets that we own. They can't have the people Restore. They needed a separate product. Pet Life. Look, your dog and cat also are full of mitochondria, but not as much as they should have. If your dog is bound up, can hardly walk up and down the stairs, certainly isn't playing catch or fetch or chasing bikes or anything. If your cat is laying around and hacking up fur balls and shedding, animals suffer just like we do. And they're closer to all the bad things in the environment. The chemicals we put on the rugs to clean them, the things we put on the lawn to make it grow. They're even allergic to the same things we are in the environment. If you want to bring a dog quickly back to puppy stage and a cat back to kitten stage, then increase their mitochondria. Help them, give them pet life. So there's 4 items: Rejuvenate, Restore 3.0, Renew Brain and Body, and Pet Life. There's nothing like what these products can do. To hear more about that, I'm going to turn the call back over to Roger. Roger, take it away.
Thank you, Dale. I was about to go back to last week and reboot your brain again. No, things doctors, supplement and drug companies can't fix, but your body can. You know, that's been a topic of discussion between Dr. Dan and I this last week. So, Dr. Dan, I got the same question I did on Saturday. Why is it they're not doing that? What sets us apart? What's the difference here? Dr. Dan, go right ahead.
Well, it's extremely difficult to get nutrients down into the tiny, tiny little mitochondria cell. Mitochondria cells are about the size of bacteria, though that's where your energy is made. So you take a typical muscle cell. A good athlete probably has about 5,000 mitochondria in each muscle cell. And the cell itself is pretty small. And then you put in these tiny, tiny little mitochondria cells. Getting it into the cell itself is a big feat. Very little of the nutrients you take get in there. And then to get it into the deeper level. So they're not feeding the mitochondria like we are. We're able to feed it what it needs to thrive and grow and create more mitochondria. And when you do that, you're bringing the body back to a useful level. But sometimes even people at a very young age will have a health problem, a serious health problem, and they have plenty of mitochondria. And yet when they take this product, this new technology, actually what it is in the nutritional realm, this is a whole new delivery system. When they do this, they waken up the processes that the mitochondria is involved in. And I was just reading some stuff right now on what medicine considers mitochondria problems: cardiovascular disease, stroke, metabolic disorders such as diabetes, cancer, infection, aging process. But we know from our experience, it's much broader than that. Memory, eyesight, pain, where people have something that might have bothered them for years goes away. It's just so many different areas that we see that's even broader than what medicine can see. And supplement companies are trying to do this, but they don't have the XDS. They can't deliver 44 different things into the mitochondria. And I wouldn't have thought it was possible before. In fact, if there's a little too much trying to be delivered at one time, none of it will go in. So Dr. Elliott had to work out all of that. And we're doing that. We're making the cells healthier. And as you make the cells healthy, you make the organs healthier. And you make the organs healthy, you make the whole body healthier. So it makes sense that when you turn up the energy of the cells, and the cells can do all the processing that they have to do to stay healthy, then everything else turns around and goes back to the healthy state that's meant to be in. The body knows how to do that. All we're doing is giving it what it needs to do it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Dr. Dan.
You're welcome.
I love it. Okay, so I'll take it back a little bit in time. When Bevan and I were initially talking about mitochondria, and he was saying, I like to help people die of old age instead of disease, I started researching that myself, and I came across this organization. It's called mitoaction.org. They're still around today, MITO Action, ACTION.org. Mitochondria, that was the population that they specialized in, had all these conditions like you just heard him talk about. They had more diabetes, high blood pressure, dementia, cancer, ... So it struck me immediately that, oh, that's the way a lot of people end up when they're old. So for me, that was my Rosetta Stone. That's what gave me insight. That let me decode what was going on with this loss of mitochondria. You might not start out that way if you're a healthy person, but you will end up that way. So the thing we were going after is what would happen if we could actually reverse that loss of mitochondria? What would people begin to see in their health that they typically don't see? Okay, and that typically, you know, the drug companies and all the supplement companies and certainly doctors, I mean, you have never gone to the doctor, he wrote you a prescription for more mitochondria, right? They don't have one.
No,
right?
never.
That's just the way that is.
If y'all
But
have,
when you
let me know.
really do it, like we've been doing for over 10 years now, then you get these amazing results that nobody else knew was possible because nobody else is doing this. That's when you get people like Cornell. Cornell comes to us, he got a heart murmur. And what you learn from him is that the doctor got nothing for that. But let's see what Mito had in store. So when I talked to you the first time, what did you tell me were your health concerns then?
When it came down to my heart murmur back in the year of 2022, and that's when I started using that more Michael for the first time, and I was using it for a pretty good while. And when I went back, so I went back to my doctor for a checkup, and then she didn't discover no heart murmur in me none forever, and everything looked real fine. But then shortly after that, you know, the mistake that I made was when I started back to smoking that reefer again, and then throughout the last couple of months or so, and then my body started acting up again, and then when I went back to the doctor, and then they told me that heart murmur came back on me, and then after that, I had to leave that reefer alone, and I haven't touched any since then.
Okay, you told me the last time that when you got on it, you tried the reefer, but you didn't like the reefer.
No, I didn't.
Okay, so since you got on Restore, have you been back to get a check on the heart murmur?
Yeah, and they told me that they don't discover, they haven't noticed no heart murmur, but they discovered just a funny heart beat here and there, but they told me that